Welcome back to Like Us Pod. I'm your host, Erin, through these bonus episode play-by-plays of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I'm a little sporty, and so I thought it would be fun to keep track and keep score on which Real Housewife is the most relatable. We will get into the scorecard later on in the episode, but first, let's get into this week's Hot Mic Confessional. So this week, I must confess that I have been playing the video game Animal Crossing's New Horizon. Who was going to tell me that this game was so much fun? It's so funny because I grew up playing The Sims like a lot of girls that are millennials. And I was looking for a game that was similar on my Nintendo Switch. My husband and I, we just got a Switch over the holidays, and we have been having so much fun gaming together. We've been playing this game called It Takes Two, which is essentially like a game that is a version of like couples therapy, honestly. You can't get through a level without the other person. And so it really does force a version of camaraderie, communication, but also like the people in the game are a couple that are going through a divorce. And so it's like through a kid's imagination of what their parents have to do to stay together. It sounds really complicated and weird, but when you're playing it, it's super fun. So I got back into like my gaming bag because we've been playing It Takes Two, but I was really missing The Sims. And so I started looking like, okay, like what games like The Sims exist on a Nintendo Switch? And everyone suggested Animal Crossing. And so I downloaded it and I've been playing it. And honestly, it's a little addicting, but I do enjoy being on Animal Crossing more than just like scrolling on social media. It's a blast. And it's nice to just like have some stuff that brings you joy that you don't have to explain to anyone else. It's like the button girl. It actually only has to make sense for me to do it. And I don't have to explain it to anybody else. And that's me with Animal Crossing. Anyway, moving on to Beverly Hills. We start the episode and we get, typical BH fashion, everyone kind of doing their thing. Bose and Lael are driving to San Diego. Sutton is playing tennis. Amanda's doing her nails with her stepdaughter, and they're talking about the upcoming wedding with her and Eddie. By the way, did you guys see Amanda on Watch What Happens Live? She was on Watch What Happens Live on Thursday night, and she was talking to Andy, and Andy's asking her about her regrets and her time on the show. And it's funny because Amanda was like kind of being like a strong, sturdy bulldog. And there's something about Amanda that I do like and appreciate. But then there's this other part of Amanda that feels like really unlikable. And I don't like calling women unlikable because meh. But I feel like with Amanda, there's a groundedness that would really make her feel like a super, super cool character, but the level of delusion makes her not as fun, dare I say. And I guess that's kind of the point of us doing the scorecard is like who's relatable, who's not relatable. And Amanda is relatable, but she also is just like kind of not that nice. I don't know. Something about her comes across as like not being that kind and not being self aware in a way that I don't really like. Anyways, so Andy's asking her, like, oh, do you regret talking about that you make more than your husband? And she's like, no, which, okay, that's fine. Like, go off, girl. But then, like, she also does this thing where she's like, yeah, like women weren't making money in the 80s. Like, that's inflammatory. But she does basically say, like, I never saw women breadwinners. And I also don't know if that's true. It's like just maybe that wasn't your environment, but also you can do a book report on a woman. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just something about, and also she said this week that she was the first self-made housewife, which is also just when she says these things, it's not even cute. It just comes across as like so dense that like, how are you going to be on a show that you did no research on beforehand? You know what I mean? I don't love it. Moving on. We're back in the Hamptons, and I feel like Rachel, Kyle, and Dorit have been in the Hamptons for like so long now. Like I get it. Like they were really getting a lot of episodes out of this Hamptons trip. This is their last day in the Hamptons, though, apparently. And Dorit's talking to her daughter Phoenix on FaceTime. Phoenix is going to go to Disneyland. I thought it was hilarious that Phoenix asked Dorit, like, Mama, did you guys fly commercial? She's like 9. She's like judging her mom for not getting a private jet. I love it. But it's also like a little bit, tells us a little bit why the issues exist in the Kimsley house that they do because, like, I don't even know if your kid that's a whole debate. Of, like, should your kids fly private or not? Should your kids fly first class or not? And I do feel like there's something to be said like, my husband and I, we actually talked about this, and it's like, if you can have your kids fly first class, surely that's a great experience for them, but also they have done nothing to earn that first class flight. They've done nothing to earn the private jet, so they just believe that that is just a given, and it's not. Like, all of those things come from working really hard. And so there was a conversation online actually, and this is why we were having that why we were discussing it is because there were people online talking about should you let your kid fly business class? And there's this woman who was saying like we don't let our kids do that. We make them fly coach because they need to learn the value of working hard and that that's the thing that you earn. And like also like what does that do for a little kid brain if they're sitting first class and there's grown adults walking past them to go into the coach seats? Like that just doesn't go well. I think if you have daughters, you should treat them to the finer things in life so then they're not impressed by like, someone being dusty and being like, "Ooh, let me ride in the nice car," or whatever. You do kind of have to spoil your girls a teeny tiny bit just so that they're not easily impressed. But I do think that there's something to be said that like you can do that and balance that, you know, mom and dad work hard and that's why you get to fly private or first class or whatever. So I don't know if Dorit and PK are having that conversations with their kids, but Phoenix talking about, are you flying? Did you fly commercial? It didn't make me laugh. Because by the way, Dorit flying commercial for a Housewives trip still means that they're probably still flying business class. It's like a business trip. Anyway, Rachel comes downstairs and she's like, "Oh my God, I'm so hungover." Like she's saying that she's taken every pill under the sea, biotin, vitamin B. She's listing everything. She's like, "I've taken everything." And it reminded me of Lisa Rinna when she had the bag of pills. And everyone was like, "Oh my God, Lisa Rinna's popping pills." But it was all like vitamins. Everyone was so mad at Lisa. They're like, "She's doing drugs." And it was really just like her ashwagandha and her magnesium. Anyways, I love that Rachel was trying to take everything she could. Kyle comes downstairs and Kyle gets the first Like Us point of the episode and her first time getting the first Like Us point when she says that she points out in her outfit that she's wearing Zara. Very like us. I don't know why Kyle Richards is wearing fast fashion. Like, she doesn't need to be wearing fast fashion, but, we love a queen on a budget. And Zara does have cute clothes. And I feel like who amongst us isn't popping by Zara and picking something up every once in a while? Then Kyle points out that Dorit has a Hermes bag and it's white. She's like, "Oh, I almost got that bag, but they talked me out of it because I wouldn't be able to keep it clean." And I don't know if you guys noticed this, but Dorit completely ignores Kyle. Kyle's like, "Ooh, fancy bag. Ooh, blah, blah, blah." And Dorit, like, literally has already had enough of Kyle pocket watching, which is funny because Kyle was one of the first people when Dorit talked about getting the book deal to like cheer for her and then turned the chant book deal into money, money. And there's something about Kyle and Dorit and their friendship that even when they're getting along, they hate each other. Like. And that's what's happening there. Kyle's like, "Ooh, nice bag." And Dorit ignores her. They go shopping, and their first stop along the way is that they're at the store Love Shack Fancy. And I don't know if you guys are on social media, but the owner of Love Shack Fancy has a phenomenal apartment in New York City. And if you have a chance, like go on TikTok, go look it up. Love Shack Fancy, New York City apartment. Oh my God, it's to die for. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And so Dorit is contributing to that mortgage by buying everything in the store. She is just shopping till she drops and she tries everything on. But in her defense, if Rachel Zoe was shopping with me in a store like Love Shack Fancy where everything is so stinking cute, and I'm trying stuff on, and they tell me they have mother-daughter matching things for my little Phoenix who's worried if I'm flying commercial or not. I'm trying things on. I'm shopping. And Rachel Zoe is helping Dorit literally pick out outfits and be her personal shopper. And I love it. Rachel's like, "Oh, here's a headband. Oh, get this." She's like accessorizing her. What I would give for Rachel Zoe to dress me. I just love her style. I love it so much. Dorit drops like $4,500 on clothes. and then her card doesn't work, which is like such a nightmare because let's be honest, like they're kind of poking at Dorit like, oh, her card's not working because it's financial things, but it's also like, have you ever been traveling out of the state, out of the country, and then like your card doesn't work because it's like a fraud report because it's a lot of money not in your zip code. And so the bank is like, who's using your card? And you're like, oh my God. And really, it's embarrassing because it also says that like you don't leave a lot. Like, also, it's like, it's embarrassing that your card's not working. And then it's like double embarrassing because it also signals to the people at the store, like, hi, I don't travel enough. I don't travel often enough for my bank and credit card company to not think it's weird behavior that my card's being used outside of auto pay in my own neighborhood. Like, you know what I mean? So embarrassing. This felt like a Like Us moment because I feel like when your card doesn't work, you are sweating. You're so embarrassed. You're like, why is this happening to me? I pay my bills. I have money in my account. Like, why is it? It's just not working because I'm traveling. Ugh, I hate it. And then, by the way, as Dorit's walking out the store, I feel like she does this to cover the fact that she was embarrassed. Like, she's like, oh, I meant to also pick up this dress. And the dress is like $350. And she's like, I meant to pick up this dress too and I didn't try it on. Like, can you charge me for it? And it's like, girl, just get out while you can. Get out while you can. They go into Georgiana, the jewelry store. By the way, they have the cutest jewelry. I wear a bracelet from them like all the time. They have the cutest stuff. And Kyle is still pocket watching. She's like, "Oh, how much did you spend? Like, what was it?" And Dorit also ignores her. She waves her off. She's like, I shopped. Like, mind your business." Which I think is what you have to do. Asking people how much they bought or what, like, you can say, "What did you buy?" But like asking how much you spent is so tacky. And that's why when on Real Housewives of Potomac, they did their little travel circle where they were like, I was at Kimosabi. I was at Kimosabi and I spent $700. And then they all like cheered. Like, that was so tacky. I hate that they made those women do that. So corny. And then here comes Kyle being like, how much did you spend, Dorit? And it's like, I hate it. I don't like that. You can talk about money, but like, ugh, it just is tacky. And I'm glad that Dorit didn't answer, even though it was on television. So we all saw it. But she was like, Kyle, watch the episode. You know what I mean? Which I think is funny. Later on, Kyle continues her pestering of Dorit by FaceTiming Bose. And so Bose calls into Kyle and is like, I'm jealous of this Hamptons trip because the Hamptons trip does look amazing. And I bet you on social media it looked even better. And Kyle's like, oh my God, we're having the best time. Which, like, they were dancing, they did have a good time. But then it's okay, so what Kyle says to Bose in this conversation, though, it reminds me of what I said 4 episodes ago when Kyle is talking to Bose about Dorit being late to the airport. And Bose is really thoughtful in how she's replying to Kyle because Kyle is talking shit. Kyle's like, yeah, Dorit was late and then she didn't have a passport, but she also doesn't have real ID and she kind of just seems like a mess. But the thing that's funny, and I'm on Kyle's side here because when we watched it unfold and she's like, oh, and PK was late and now I'm late. And it just like, it sounded like they sound like a mess. The Kimsleys, I want them to get it together because it didn't sound like they had it together the day that Dorit was late to the flight to the Hamptons. It didn't sound like they had it together. And then now we're hearing that she didn't have her passport or the real ID. And it's like I feel like that's also the assistant dropping the ball. Like, take it from someone who was a Hollywood assistant before. You got to make your boss look good. And whoever Dorit's assistant is, they're not making Dorit look good. Because why is she so late? Why is she so late in not having a real ID? Mostly I'm concerned about the lack of the real ID because the government has told us for years. It was like years of a buildup to get the real ID. It was like, oh, you're going to need it on this date. And then they were like, we're going to push the date back. And then we're going to push the date back. And they pushed the date back for like 4 or 5 years. Dorit, get it together. I'm rooting for you. Bose is just like, hey, like, how can we be supportive of our friend of this time? Because Bose is a real one. Kyle is sick of Dorit's shit. We move on to Sutton and Jennifer Tilly, who are at a meal in Malibu by Zuma Point. And Sutton is talking about, oh, I rented a house over here. And this was the last summer that Christian and I were together. And they dropped a bomb that I didn't know about. I don't know if you did you know? Did you know that Sutton's ex-husband is dating her friend and is about to remarry her friend? The reason why Sutton is not gonna be Sutton Strack anymore is because of the annulment that only is happening because her ex-husband is marrying one of the other moms she raised her son with. Ugh, I couldn't handle that. No wonder why Sutton's been so kooky. That would send me off the edge. I can't even believe it. And then Tilly Gentile is a good friend, and she says, "Yeah, he has that new hoochie mama." When your friend has an ex and they're dating someone new, you have to be like, "Yeah, whoever that girl is, we don't like her," because that's being loyal. That's being a good friend. You have to support women's rights and women's wrongs when it's your friend, and you have to be like, "Who is this new girl? Who is this girl I see? We don't like her." You have to not like them right off the bat because if that's what your friend needs, that's what your friend needs. And so Gentile comes out fighting. She said, "That girl's a hoochie mama." And then Sutton's all sweet. "No, she's not a hoochie mama, but she is a mom." And then she drops even more tea that her husband and the friend who she's saying isn't a hoochie mama, they're not even the ones who told her. What? They're not even the ones who told you? You found out from your child? Oh my God. Sutton's looking like a saint the last couple episodes because that could not be me. Oh, I didn't like that story. I didn't like it one bit. I didn't like it one bit. And you know what? The episode then gets even more tragic because we go see Erika in therapy with Dr. Jen. But before the therapy starts, Erika gets a like us point, not because she's in therapy, although that is very like us, but because she wants to eat cake. And she's like, "I want to eat this cake, but it's going to be my therapy reward." And I believe in that. I believe that cake is the ultimate reward. You got to eat the cake. I also peeped in this moment that Erica's vanity is in her kitchen. Like she has a vanity in the kitchen. And I felt like that's the kind of thing that you get to do when you live alone. Like you just get to set up shop wherever you want. Like wherever the best lighting is kind of where you should be doing your makeup. Back when I lived alone in Santa Monica, I used to do my makeup off of like my window ledge in my living room. I had this big window that brought in so much nice light into my living room. I loved it. And I would just do my makeup there. And it had a very beautiful like little bookshelf and that was turned into my vanity. And I just adored that space so much. And I just like when you live alone, you just set up shop wherever you want. You just set up your shit everywhere. And Erika is seeing her therapist, Dr. Jen, and Dr. Jen has been on my television for decades, for decades. And after seeing Dr. Jen and this episode, I did a deep dive. And then it reminded me of this TV show the very first time I saw Dr. Jen. And this is actually, everyone's talking about America's Next Top Model because it's a reality check documentary. And Carrie D, I believe, was the first winner of America's Next Top Model. She was gorgeous, gorgeous, piercing blue eyes, blonde hair, like such a cutie pie. And Carrie D had a reality show, and this is very deep lore. And I don't know if you will remember this, but I'm gonna tell you. Gather around, children. Let me tell you about a reality show in the olden days, and it was called Pretty Wicked. And Pretty Wicked was a reality competition show to see which girl was the most beautiful on the inside. And I completely forgot about this show. Completely forgot about it. But Dr. Jen was one of the panelists on the show. And she was one of the people that would like help come up with the challenges. And one of the challenges is they had the girls have to write 5 things they couldn't live without. And these women were writing things like my mirror, mascara. And like, what? Excuse me. By the way, it's a competition to show your inside beauty, your inner beauty. Oh my God, I love it. We need to bring that show back. Pretty Wicked. It was so good. Like gone too soon. I feel like if Pretty Wicked had to exist now, they would grab like a bunch of influencers. But everyone is like a little bit more self-aware than they were back in those days. So like the fact that there's a concept of a show that beautiful women couldn't possibly be kind is exactly the reason why Top Model was so wackadoo, so much problematic television in the early 2000s. And that's all I got to say. Now, this scene that Erika has with Dr. Jen, like, Erika's breaking my heart because she's here, she's talking about all of the new lawsuits and all of this drama. And it felt like for a moment in this franchise, because, Erika's been on the show for almost 10 years. And it felt like, after Tom went to jail, it felt like Erika was almost getting like a hero arc. Like she was building her new life. She bought the house, she decorated the house, like she was ready to move on. And then we're realizing that there probably is no moving on for Erika. There probably is no moving on for her. This is probably her life, is continuously doing this. And wow, what a nightmare. What a nightmare. And I felt like the best part of this scene was Erika just being like, I want this all to be done. And Dr. Jen said the best. It was just the best life advice. So let me tell you something about life. We all want to be in a place where like the bills are all paid and laundry is done and everything is good. And, and we're just like on the other side of our problems. And she's like, but that's not happening because this is life and life is always happening. What a word. Jen had a gem. So we're back in the Hamptons and the girls are going to meet Rachel's parents. And I think that's so nice. And so Rachel's really excited. She says that she has a really close relationship with her mom and dad. And her parents arrive over an hour late to meet Kyle and Dorit, which is fantastic. And in this moment, when Kyle comes downstairs, I felt like this was actually, although I have both of my parents with me still, I felt like Kyle talking about her missing her parents and wishing they were around. That feels like something that's so relatable to people who have experienced parental loss or and she talks about that when she was going through her trouble with Mauricio, she would have loved to be able to just call her mom. And I feel like having that love for your parents is deeply relatable for people. And, when folks have that parental loss, it's a gap that never gets filled. And so I feel like Kyle's vulnerability in talking about that is definitely a relatable moment. So she's going to get a point for that. But Rachel's mom is absolutely fabulous. And I also want us, can we get Rachel Zoe on Finding Your Roots? Like PBS needs to call Rachel Zoe up because I saw those pictures of Rachel Zoe's mom's hair and it was a little curly. It was given, like I saw her. I saw that thing. Like she almost looks like Maya Rudolph. Like, you know what I mean? Like she looks like there is some sort of swirl going on with Mama Zoe. And I would love Rachel Zoe to now get on PBS Finding Your Roots so that we know Rachel Zoe's genealogy because I feel like there's a story there. Like there's a story there. Bose, Keely, Lael, they go on a date together in San Diego. I actually thought it was pretty cute. People online hated this scene. Y'all were like, what is up with Keely? Bose needs to leave that man alone. Like everyone's not feeling it. But if he makes her feel loved, who are we to say? Who are we to say? So they're talking about IVF. Bose is talking about if it doesn't work out, will she keep Keely? Keely is like, yeah, I still would love you if you can't have kids. We'll just figure it out. But then he says, but what if I can't work? What if I can't work anymore? Would you still love me? And I feel like those are two different things. Like you not having a job and Bose not being able to bear children feel like two very different things. But here we are. And also, like, I feel like the way they edited this scene made it more awkward than it was. I feel like he was trying to say, like, we both love each other through ups and downs. That's what love is. We'll still be getting married. But it just came across as weird. And it also was like, they're just talking about all of this with like Lael in front of them. Like, I like the concept of them going on a date and bringing Lael with them, like doing like a family dinner. But it just felt like a very adult conversation to be having in front of the 16-year-old. I don't know. Whatever. God bless. Speaking of dinners, Kyle, Rachel, Dorit, they have their last dinner in the Hamptons. Thank God, because they've been there forever. And on the way there, Kyle talks about that. One time she was riding on an airplane next to a guy who asked her to not go meet up with her family, but to meet him in the shower at the airport, which like, her sharing that story too is like so wackadoo, so wackadoo. What I loved about this dinner is Rachel just lets it all spill out. She is spilling her own tea. She's like, yeah, my ex-husband, he was cheating on me and he told me about it. But by the way, I cheated on him before we even got married and he still proposed to me. And Kyle is judging the shit out of Rachel. She is like, no way. Are you admitting to this? No way. Is that how your marriage got started? Like Kyle's head is spinning. But this is what makes Rachel a star, and I think she might be holding center diamond at a certain point in this franchise. She's so good for the show. She's so good for the show. I think that even if Rachel Zoe didn't get a bunch of points this episode, she was the star of the episode, and she still wins. She's winning the show. You know what I mean? Let's go into the scorecard, speaking of. Kyle Richards had her first multi-point episode this week with 2 points on the board. 1 for wearing Zara, and 2 for missing her parents. Dorit also got points on the board, and it was for her credit card not working while she was traveling and being really embarrassed about that. And lastly, Erika Jayne, she got a point on the board for eating cake. That leaves us with Erika in first place, Rachel in second, Kyle now is in third, Bose is in fourth, Dorit is in fifth, the friends of are in sixth, and Amanda and Sutton are tied for seventh. So we went from a lot of ties to now everyone kind of holding their own place. But we will see at the end of the season who is the most relatable housewife of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Erika Jayne is not letting go of her lead. She's been maintaining. And we will see if Rachel's able to overtake her. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe, comment, all of the good positive things on social media, YouTube, and Spotify at Like Us Pod, and me at Erin Jones-Wesley. Thank you so much for listening. I will see you next time, or I guess chat next time. Bye.